Hello YouTube, and welcome back to another Expanding Universe video. Today, what I want to talk about was another good starting point that I feel um, that someone could, start with to start reading the Expanding Universe. But it's not a book or a comic, though, of course, there's plenty of options there. It's a game. I think it's a game that is obviously well known. We all know about this game. In my opinion, I think Knights of the Old Republic would be a great starting point for a new Expanding Universe fan. It's one of the greatest games ever made, not just Star Wars games. In my opinion, is the best Star Wars game ever made, but it's also just one of the greatest games ever made. Now, the game is if you're not used to RPGs, like I certainly wasn't when I first played it, don't let that discourage you. Try it out, play the game. It has a wonderful, wonderful story. And KOTOR is sort of like the backbone of the Old Republic. It's kind of what that and Tales of the Jedi. I don't think Tales of the Jedi gets enough credit, but KOTOR is kind of like what built the Old Republic era. And I think it is a wonderful start for anybody who wants to get into the EU. It tells a wonderful story, right? If you're not an EU fan, you've probably heard of Revan. He's kind of like a well-known character within the fandom. You're gonna get first that was his first appearance was in KOTOR. And then you'll learn about Malik, Bastila, HK-47, T3, M4. I think that was his name. I know it's T3. I don't remember M4 as part of his name, but T3. You'll learn about Candace Ordo. You'll learn about uh, I was about to say Saul Karras, not him, the other guy. Cartho Nasi. You'll learn about Mission Val, Zalbar. You learn about some awesome characters. And there's other characters in there, of course, that you'll get to learn about. But yeah, I think that game is a wonderful story. It takes place like 3,900 years before the films. It takes place roughly 30 or so years after Tales of the Jedi. Um, it's just a wonderful game. You can buy it. It's on Steam. It's on the Xbox Store. I don't know if it's on the PlayStation Store. I don't have PlayStation. Um, it was originally an Xbox One, not Xbox One. The original Xbox game was released back in 2003. Um, and what I also love about the game is it's going to take you a second to get through it. It takes a while. Every playthrough I've had of it, it takes me 24 hours, like literally 24 hours to get through the whole thing. Um, a lot of that is also though me just messing around in the game too, but it's it's just such a wonderful game. Now it is dated. Okay, the graphics are dated, the game is dated, but the story is excellent. And I think once you are brought into the story, once you get hooked on the story, which you will, don't trust me, you will. Once you get hooked on it, you're gonna want to keep playing, and you're gonna be addicted to it. Um, I think that is a great first step that someone could take into the EU is playing one of the greatest Star Wars games ever. Um, Other games, there's see all the other games I would not say are good starts. You could say Force Unleashed, but Force Unleashed is a very unique game. It's a very unique story. It's a very unique sort of premise. It's also a controversial game. I mean, and then you have Republic Commando. If you like the Clone Wars, I guess you could start with that. But that game, I don't know. I didn't really care for it that much. It was fun, but I didn't really care for it. But if you're looking for just a genuinely great story, that's a good start. Um, if there's an alternative game that I would suggest, Jedi Outcast. This is part of the Kyle Katarn series of games, the Dark Forces series. It's not the first in the series, but you can start with it. That's what I started with, and you'll understand everything, I think. Um, Jarek, this is after Jarek though, so you're not gonna see Jarek. Kyle Katarn is of course in it. Jan Ors is in it. Desan, that's the main villain that's in it. Um, but I think what makes that game stand out compared to the others is you actually get to go to Luke's Academy on Yavin 4. It's really one of the only it's like the only visual, time that we visually saw Luke's Academy in any sort of visual media, apart from like a comic book, but which even then we rarely saw his Academy comics. And the only comic we saw as Academy is Jedi Academy Leviathan, I think. Let me Union, I think that's in there too. My shelf is over here, so I'm looking at it. That's pretty much it. You don't really see much of it outside of that, but um, yeah, it's a very good game as well. I think Jedi Outcast is great, and it's more of a modern game. And it's not an RPG. It's an action adventure game. It's a typical story game. It's a first person shooter slash third person. Well, it's not third person shooter, but once you get a lightsaber, it becomes third person. Um, but that's a really good game too. But in terms of the best story, KOTOR is the best. Um, and if you want, you can play KOTOR 2 after that. KOTOR 2 is just as good. In fact, many people would say it's better. I prefer KOTOR 1, but there's many people who think KOTOR 2 is better, which, they're absolutely justified to say that. I think they have a lot of great reasons for that. Because that game is really awesome as well. That game, it's not focused on Revan, it's focused on a character called the Exile. Later, we'd learn her name. Her name is Mitra Surik. Um, she had served with Revan during the Mandalorian Wars, and I don't really wanna get too much into it, but she's called the Exile because she was exiled from the Jedi Order. You get to learn about all that. So there's lots of story there. And then let's say you love both of those two games, and then you want to keep reading. I actually would not say like read chronologically from there. I would say go back to Tales of the Jedi. Tales of the Jedi sets the sort of Tales of the Jedi is the first Old Republic story. It's the first story set in that era. Really, it's the first prequel Star Wars story. Well, actually, that's not true. That's not true. The first prequel Star Wars story is technically the Han Solo adventures, but um, those that comic series is the first series actually set in the Old Republic. Takes place 5,000 years for the films. I would read that first. And that's actually divided up into different mini series. So you would start out with Golden Age of the Sith, follow the Sith Empire, and then you would read um Knights of the Old Republic. There's the Knights of the Republic trade paperback for Tales of the Jedi, not the comic series, not the games. I'm talking about the Knights of the Republic trade paperback for Tales of the Jedi. That's actually contains two stories in it. It contains the Yulko Drum and the Beast Wars of Onderon, and then the Nomi Sunrider. I forgot the name of that one, but there's a Nomi Sunrider. There are two miniseries that were combined into one trade paperback, and they were called Knights of the Old Republic. That's sort of like introducing you to Yuluk Quadroma and Nomi Sunrider, who are the main characters of Tales of the Jedi. Golden Age of the Sith and Fall of the Sith Empire are prequels. That's a prequel run to the main Tales of the Jedi run. So you'd read those three. Then after that is the Freedom Nat Uprising. Then after that it's Dark Lords of the Sith, and then the Sith War, and then Redemption. So those are the different miniseries in that series. You can read those if you want to buy them. Try and look them up online if you can find them. But um, you can also get Marvel Unlimited. Marvel Unlimited, it's an app that you get on your phone. It's $10 a month. Pretty much every expanded universe comic that's out there is on that site. The one exception I think is a few like TCW tie-ins. I don't um actually know the reason. I think there were some copyright issues. That's why they're not on Marvel Unlimited because I think they were printed by someone that's not Dark Horse, I think. Actually, I don't know the whole story. Titus knows. Titus put it in the comments for me if you see this. But other than that, pretty much every other comic's on there. So Tales of Jedi is on there. I would go ahead and read that first. And then of course you have the two KOTOR games. So let me look at my. Oh, that's not true. You have the Tales of Jedi comic. Then you have the KOTOR comics, the 50 issue run. I completely forgot about that, and KOTOR fans are gonna hate me for that. I forgot about it because I haven't read it yet. That's why. But the KOTOR comics, so it's a 50 issue run by John Jackson Miller, and then there's the KOTOR War miniseries. That's a 5 issue miniseries after that, 5 or 6 issue, I don't remember. Again, all Marvel Limited. That's if you like KOTOR. So if you like KOTOR, if you like KOTOR 2, I'd go ahead and if you want to read more after that, if those hooked you, Tales of the Jedi, and then the KOTOR comics. And then after that, you would read Revan, and then I mean, if I tell you the rest of it, I could retitle this, Old Republic era timeline. No, I'm just saying if you liked those two, I'd read those two comics. Yeah. So, and if you like Jedi Outcast, to be honest with you, go back to the Thrawn trilogy and read that. So, I feel like that those are two games that would be wonderful, wonderful starts for anybody who wants to start experiencing the expanding universe for the first time. Thank you guys for watching, and long live the expanding universe.